Hello, you beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Self-Development Podcast. My name is Hannah, and I'm your host. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that I find so empowering, and I am really excited to dive into this with you guys. I actually tried to record this episode last week for you. However, I could hear my dryer in the background and it was driving me crazy, and then I got sick and lost my voice for a few days, so I am sorry for the delay on this episode. However, I am back. My voice might not be 100%, but I made sure that I would sit down and record this for you guys for this week, so I am very, very excited. Today, I am going to be diving into truly how powerful women are. And this topic I have is kind of going to go a little bit in a lot of directions and hopefully come back full circle by the end. But I do just want to start out and make a note saying that because I'm talking about women, this by any means doesn't mean that I am hating on men, because both masculine and feminine energies are very important. They both have their own role and they are the way they are for a reason, and we cannot have one without the other. We cannot love one without the other. So I am by no means throwing any shade towards men. I love men. I love masculine energy. This episode is just really focusing on feminine energy and how powerful it is, and that we as women, as a collective, really need to claim that power and hone in on that power, because for so long it has been taken from us. We have been conditioned to believe that we were powerless, that we needed a man, and all these things. So I'm going to unravel all of that. But no hate to men. Men, I love you. You are there to be the supporters, there to be the providers. But we women are powerful creatures, and I have a lot of evidence as to why. And hopefully this will light a fire for you, all you women out there that maybe have some doubts about your abilities, about your power, about how absolutely amazing you are as beings. So without further ado, I want to start this episode out with a story as to what really awoke me to this awareness. And I mean, I've always known that women are powerful. I don't believe that God has a gender, but if it did have a gender, I believe God would be a woman, as women bear life. Women create life in their freaking bodies. So yes, if God had a gender, God would be a woman. And I've always kind of thought that, at least since being on my spiritual journey. However, I believe God is both masculine and feminine. So not one specific gender. Besides the point, in a couple months ago, I went on a retreat to do ayahuasca, which is a plant medicine. This is my third time going. However, this time I had a little bit different of an experience because I had my period while I was there, or as they like to call it, my moon. So that's what I'm going to refer to it as from now on, but that's what I'm talking about. So I knew before I went, because my cycle is very regular and I track my cycle with the moon. So I knew a month before I went that I was going to be on my moon while I was there. So I let them know. They said it was fine. I could still drink. I could still participate in ceremony. However, the shaman couldn't sing to me. And I was like, okay, interesting. That's fine. I like to be in that energy. I still get to drink. I'm still having the experience. He just can't clean out my ichros that day, and that's fine. So when I got there, I didn't get it till the third day. So I had 2 nights without it and 2 nights with it. So first 2 nights were normal, whatever. Then I let them know that I had gotten it in the day, so he couldn't sing to me at the next 2 nights. And it wasn't just that. I wasn't allowed to touch the food, and he could not touch me. He honestly looked kind of scared of me. And at first I was a little off-put by it. I was like, oh, like, do you think like I'm like, that's just where my mind goes. It's like, oh, you think I'm gross because I'm on my moon? But no, he is not like that at all. That's just my ego and like past trauma of associating periods with being gross, which I will get into later on. Anyway, so I then had this realization of like, oh, it's because my energy is so powerful. I am so potent because I am on my moon, and like he can't even touch me. He literally, it felt like he would walk around me if we were like in the same room as each other. And so at the end even of the ceremony, even when the ceremony was done, he like shook everyone's hand and he didn't shake my hand because he didn't want to touch me. So I was like, wow, it was crazy because he is such a powerful being. He is such a strong presence, and I really enjoy learning from him. I really enjoy being in his energy, but he was intimidated by me. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. But like, let's just rewind the clock for like, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of years. My favorite example of this is the time of witches. So what is a witch? Okay. You know, through stories and all this stuff, you know, some of us might have this idea of that they were like, you know, different from humans. Some were evil, you know, they're kind of lumped to be with like fairies and all these things that I'm using air quotes are make believe, because they're not. All these things are real, and witches are real. Witches are still around. They just have been in hiding because we were all killed at the stake, me included. I lived a life as a witch, and I was burned at the stake, and I was told I wasn't all good. And you know what? I know exactly what happened. I was a good witch, doing my stuff, making my potions, being so in tune with nature, so in tune with myself, so in tune with energy, and then people came along and tried to shame me, shun me, kill me, and I turned bad real fast. I said, absolutely not happening, F you guys, and was doing some crazy witchcraft, and then I got burned at the stake. So this happened for a lot of us. Probably most of you listening to this podcast were a witch in a past life, because I know many of us have reincarnated now for this powerful time in history where it's now okay to be a witch and we can actually feel safe. This was a really big block I had at the start of my journey and being able to share my voice and what I know and understand, because I had already been killed for it once. But this just goes to show witches were just extremely powerful women because they were in tune with their bodies, in tune with nature, in tune with energy, right? They just had such a deep knowledge and understanding of different plants and their abilities and their powers, and they honed in on that, and they would, you know, get together as a group of women and dance around in the moonlight and do all these rituals and ceremonies and set intention. A spell is just intention. We're setting spells all the time. We just don't say I'm casting a spell. It's just the intention that you set for whatever it is you're doing, in a way, is its own spell. So, not to get on a side tangent about witches, but this is the best example, because people were so intimidated by how powerful these witches were that they literally killed them all, because they were so scared that they were more powerful than them. And again, through history, men have done this to literally anyone, anything that's deemed to be more powerful, deemed to be more better. These people are very egotistical driven. And I say man, and it doesn't necessarily mean a physical man. Man as in mankind. Man as in people who have let their ego been in the driver's seat for way too long. It was women as well. It was the women who weren't witches that weren't in tune with that as well. And there's a lot of wounds there. But this is also throughout history, women have been a lot of suppressed by men. There's a really long time. It wasn't until recent history where women were allowed to vote, allowed to have a credit card, all these things. And I'm not a feminist. I would actually love to be a stay-at-home mom, stay home, cook, clean, get taken care of, just stay home with my kids and teach them and raise them. And I actually think that'd be really sweet. I'm not all this boss babe girl era. I want to work in the corporate job and live my life, whatever. If that's what you want, that's what you want. I personally don't want to do that. But women were suppressed by men, and I'm just wondering why. Well, guess what? I finally understand why. It's because we're so powerful. We literally grow human beings in our bodies. Our bodies are literal portals that birth souls, that transport souls from the other side to this planet, or whatever planet we're on, because women birth life in all dimensions, all planets. I shouldn't say that. There might be a dimension where the men do it, but I highly doubt that. The feminine energy is nurturing and giving and caring, and it is the love, it is the home, it is that just safe space, whereas the masculine is the go get 'em, the go do it, the protector, the provider, the hunters, that sort of energy. One day I will do an episode on masculine and feminine energies if I have not already. So back to the point of women being so powerful. Here's the thing, and this is a really big issue going on in your life. For one, generational trauma that comes from women not being able to speak their truth, women's voices being silenced. There is a lot of trauma around women made to feel small, made to feel insignificant, made to feel that they don't matter, all this stuff, and that's coming to an end. It needs to come to an end because it's bullshit. And I am so sorry for all the people who have gone through these experiences that people told they doesn't matter, they're not enough, whatever, abuse, sexual trauma, all these things. Men just want to steal their power. Why? Because they're truly so intimidated by us. We are motherfucking walking goddesses. They should be intimidated by us. But if we cannot see our power, if we cannot see how beautiful, divine, magical, life-giving goddess beings we are, then they're going to take that power from us, and you have to be able to claim that so that you can't let them take it from you, because they will literally suck it right out of you. And if you're not aware, how do you know how to stop it? So for girls, my number one advice is to just create this such a loving relationship with your body. And this is something that I have been cultivating for the last couple years and have really been honing in on it lately, because this has to do with having my period. I used to hate it. I got my period when I was 11 years old, which is really young. I feel like I didn't even fully understand anything to do with periods, and it was already happening to my body. Then it's 15, I get put on birth control, and then that doesn't do well with my body, so I went off of it again. 18, put on birth control again, also didn't do, I almost died, so I got taken off of it. But I just always associated periods with being gross. I got to an age where I only wanted to use tampons because I thought it was gross. I didn't want to deal with it. Pads, you see it, blah, gross, whatever. But then I was not being healthy with my relationship with that, and it was awful, and I would have the worst periods and the worst cramps, and I was told I had endometriosis, and I went to the doctor, and all they could do for me was put me on birth control or an IUD, and I said absolutely not doing that, which I am thankful I made that decision. I believe everybody has a choice to make that choice for their body, but I feel like we all need to actually be educated on what it is doing to our body, because it is taking us away from our natural rhythm, from that ability to be able to be in tune with our bodies and understand what's going on with our bodies. Now that I am so focused on my cycle and just feeling in my energy what is going on within my body, I can tell you exactly, almost to the literal second, when I'm going to get my period. I will literally be I'm about to get my period, and then I'll go pee and there'll be one drop of blood. It is literally that insane. And same for ovulating. Obviously, it's the opposite. I luckily am lined up with the moon. And again, women, nature, witches, cycles, it's all freaking connected. 28 days, 28 days. In a period cycle and in the moon cycle. Coincidence? I think not. Coincidences do not exist. Synchronicity, okay? We are freaking powerful. Anyway, I get my period at the new moon, so when it's the full moon, I know I'm ovulating, and I'm trying to honor my cycle as well when it comes to exercise. So I know, like, if I get my period, I'm not going to the gym. I'm not lifting heavy weights. I'm not being hard on my body. If I need to move my body, I will go for a walk, maybe do a light yoga flow, maybe just do some stretching. There are so many different ways to incorporate movement into our lives that we don't need to put that pressure and like stress on our body, especially when we are in a time of release. And this is the other thing, is I have started to absolutely love my period. I love getting my period. Do I feel my best? No, I don't feel my best when I'm on my period, but I find it to be such an absolute sacred time for me because it is a release. I feel so lucky that I get to go in this cycle every single month where my body at the end of the month has the power to let go of what is no longer serving me and fully release it from my body. How magical is that? Words cannot even describe how absolutely insane that is when you think about it. If you are somebody who pays attention to energy, if you are somebody who, likes cycles and likes to be on a schedule or just honors things like that, just really pay attention to that because it is such a beautiful thing. And we are always naturally in ebbs and flows. Energy is always ebbing and flowing. There's ups and downs. There's all these things and patterns and things that will happen. And we go through this pattern every single month, and we can use it to our advantage. We can use it for not just the shedding of our uterine lining, because that's what's coming out, but energetically, we hold so much in our womb space as women. Our womb is so powerful. It's, again, literally a portal. It's a physical portal in which we bring our babies into this world. However, it is also a portal of creation. And this is another thing. So if you think about it, the sacral chakra is our womb space. That is where our sacral chakra is. And what does our sacral chakra represent? It represents creativity, pleasure. And so if you think about it, it's like all the things that bring us pleasure. Everything that we love, that we want to create and birth and bring into this life, we are bringing actually through that womb space and birthing it into our life. So if we can tap into that energy and use that to birth things through us, our ideas, what we want to bring to the world, how we can be of service. For me, I think of this as courses that I can create, podcasts that I can create. For some people, it might be music they can birth into the world. For others, it might be whatever it is, a friggin' math equation, whatever it is that brings you joy, whatever it is that when you're in alignment with your highest self, when you're tapped into that creative power, when you are honed in on that energy, you can use your womb to birth that through this portal. So this is kind of how I envision it. Hi, here's this idea. I get it through my crown chakra. Our crown chakra is our connection to the universe. It is, we are the computers. It is the Wi-Fi, whatever. It is connecting us to this universe above us that we cannot see, but we know it's there, and we're getting this information. Then we can see it in our third eye. We're visualizing it. This idea that we have. Now we can see it, we can feel it. Now we're speaking about it. We're speaking it into existence. Then we're feeling it in our heart and we're loving the idea. And then we move it down to our solar plexus chakra where we feel confident about it. We identify that this is our creation, that we did this. And then we feel it in our sacral chakra, which is where we can actually hone in on that creativity and we can birth it. And then it goes through our root chakra because then it's like physically in our world. But that creativity center, that portal of actually birthing it into the world is such a powerful thing, and we can really tune into that. And it's also really important when it comes to our period because that chakra also represents emotions. So I've noticed this in my period. I used to get really, really, really bad period cramps. And then I went to Reiki and I had this experience, and she told me about a past life that I had. I was holding a lot of trauma. I had a lot of lives where I was a woman that I held a lot of trauma in my womb. Even this life, I've experienced trauma to do with my womb and not properly dealing with it, with the emotions that come with that trauma, holds energy in your womb. And it was like I had a spiky ball in my uterus. And that's what it felt like when I had cramps. Like it was like knives stabbing in every direction. It was like this really sharp object was in my uterus. So she dove into that with me, and it wasn't just this life, it was past lives and all these times of being a woman that I was holding all this hate and anger and disgust in my uterus, and it was causing me very painful periods. And so I let that go. I saw it go away, and I've clearly, since this is only a year ago, had such a shift in my mindset and how this was all connected. And then I had such good periods, no cramps, and then I got cramps again, and I was like, what the fuck? I thought I fixed this. I thought that this was gone. And then I was in a healing circle, and I had a vision of like, oh, right, this is where I store emotions. So yes, I've dealt with that really pressing emotions that were there, but I'm going through my day-to-day life. And if there's emotions that build up within my one cycle that I am not releasing when I'm having my period and going through this release, I'm holding on, I'm resisting the releasing from my body that's naturally happening as this beautiful magical gift, I'm having a painful period because my uterus is tense. It's holding on to these emotions as my body's trying to let go. That's going to create pain. It's a block in this flow. And that is the feminine energy. The feminine energy is the flow. It's the trust. It's the surrender. It's the just knowing that everything already worked out for you. It's knowing that we live in an infinite universe, and it is our literal birthright to have absolute, complete, and total abundance. And the only way that doesn't happen is when we have these blocks which we may or may not be holding in our uterus. We can hold blocks throughout different places in our body, but I like to think of like the female is the river, right? We are always flowing. We are meant to be this wild rapid that you cannot control, that just goes where it needs to go. It goes with the flow, whatever. But if we're having these blocks and it's like a beaver dam, we have this block here and we're not processing it, we're not getting it out of the way, then all these issues can happen with the river. And if we don't have a healthy relationship with ourselves, with our feminine, and then results in having an unhealthy relationship with the masculine, with our own masculine energy, because everyone has both masculine and feminine energy, but also with like the masculine energies within our lives. So like men, such as fathers, husbands, brothers, whatever, can create a lot of issues as well. So I don't know. These puzzle pieces just slowly all went together for me. And at the end of the day, I am just in awe. I feel so lucky to be a woman because I actually, looking at my astrology chart, have a lot of masculine energy. I believe that I have lived a lot of my past lives as a man, and there's only been maybe so many that I actually am a woman, and I am honored to get to be a woman in this life. And I cannot wait to be able to have my own babies one day and be able to go through that experience and physically birth something into this world that I grew in my own uterus with my own freaking powers in my own portal. And just, the more I deepen my spiritual practices, the more I am just in awe with my body and all that it can do, and with nature and the cycles and how it's all so connected. And I love to track the moon and my cycle and watch how they line up so nicely. And I have started saying to myself, like, I am literally a walking goddess. I am a living, breathing, walking goddess, and the standards that I have for myself since seeing this power and honing in on this power, and just the realization, like aha moment of like, I am so powerful, and I am. Think about it. Think about all the things you've manifested in your life. Think about all the things you've overcome, how strong you are, how emotionally intelligent you are, how you can just be such a safe space for so many people in your life, how loving you are, all these things. Like, you are just so amazing. You are so amazing. And sometimes I think we just need to sit in front of a mirror, look at ourselves in the mirror, and be like, hi, me. Hi, how's it going? I love you. You're beautiful. Thank you for being you. Thank you for all that you do. You are amazing. I don't know what I would do without you. Thank you for, being able to experience this life and all these things. And because, I do that now. I used to hate looking at myself in the mirror. I used to pick myself apart. Now, every time I walk past the mirror, it's like, wow, look at me. I'm powerful. Wow, look at me. I'm so strong. Wow, look at me. I can do this. I can do that. Whatever. And my confidence level has just absolutely changed, which has changed my standards, which means that I'm not letting anybody into my life who doesn't see my worth, who doesn't know my worth. I'm not dating boys that don't care about me. I know that I am literally a goddess, and I deserve to be treated like one. And if some dude ain't gonna do that, well, literally goodbye. And you know what? Me a few years ago would be like so upset if something didn't work out, so upset if, oh, he didn't text me back, and just like really focus on that, and then feel unworthy, feel so small, blah, 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 blah. Well, no, not anymore, because I have this goddess energy. I have this mindset of like, I am a motherfucking walking portal. Bow down to me, okay? I'm going to birth the children into the world. And I don't want to get to the point of being cocky. I don't think women are better than men. I think women have a power that men don't have, which is why men, I think, maybe focus on being physically so strong and physically powerful, because we are like energetically so powerful. But again, I love men. I wouldn't be here without men. I know I'm going to marry a man someday. I hope that I get to have a son someday. I love men, but I just think that women, because we have been so hurt, because there's so much trauma, need to see truly just how beautiful and magnetic and powerful and absolutely glorious we are. So women, okay, do something kind for yourself. Do something nice for yourself. Honor yourself. Pay attention to your cycle. Release those emotions. Do the inner work. Do the inner healing. Absolutely just enjoy being a female in this life. Enjoy being a woman, because you are powerful. You are a living, breathing, walking goddess portal who is here to bring such beauty and grace into the world. And I'm thankful you're here, and we're all thankful you're here. And yeah, that is all for today. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. I love you all so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.